Ghost Recon Wildlands versus Ghost Recon Breakpoint. This is one of the biggest debates in tactical shooter history. These two games take completely different approaches to the Ghost Recon formula. Wildlands is a classic open world, squad-based military operation, while Breakpoint introduces survival mechanics, injuries, and high-tech warfare. But which one is actually better? In this deep dive, we're going to analyse absolutely everything: the story, world building, AI, gunplay, stealth mechanics, and multiplayer. And trust me, the results might actually surprise you. Before we begin, let's settle this in the comments. Wildlands or Breakpoint? Which one do you prefer and why? Let's get the debate started. Let's jump into the first major difference: the story and the setting. Ghost Recon Wildlands has Bolivia as a setting. Wildlands offers a vast, real-world inspired open world set in the Bolivia country. The game features a diverse range of environments, including dense jungles, vast deserts, salt flats, snowy mountains, and sprawling cities. This diverse setting makes it feel more like a true military sandbox experience. The game follows the task force Ghost, and it's set on Auroa, a fictional island controlled by Scale Technology, a tech corporation. Auroa is beautiful yet dangerous, featuring diverse biomes from lush jungles to snow-capped mountains and super futuristic high-tech facilities. This island is so technologically advanced, but it has been overrun by rogue forces, creating a conflict between cutting-edge warfare and survival. Breakpoint takes a more personal, survival-driven approach. You're isolated on Auroa and must survive not only against the enemy faction, the Wolves, but also against the island's harsh environment. The storyline centres on revenge, survival, and uncovering corporate corruption, with a deeper focus on the emotional toll of the war. The Wolves themselves are a rogue faction of Ghosts led by Cole Walker, and they possess similar tech and tactical prowess just like yourself. Unlike the typical cartel members in Wildlands, the Wolves are highly trained, technologically advanced, and strategically capable, making them a much tougher opponent. For my final verdict on this section, Wildlands is perfect for players who want a traditional, realistic military operation with a grounded, real-world conflict. Breakpoint is ideal for those who enjoy a more cinematic, futuristic survival experience with a bit more of a stronger narrative focus. Which setting do you prefer? Wildlands' real-world cartel war, or Breakpoint's high-tech island survival? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, section number 2, the graphics and the atmosphere. Which actually feels more immersive? Ghost Recon Wildlands, you have realistic weather and day and night cycles. Wildlands thrives on an immersive environmental effects. The game features dynamic weather, including rainstorms, fog, snow, and blazing sunlight. These effects influence gameplay. Visibility can change during a storm, and high altitude regions introduce snow that impacts your movement. Bolivia's landscapes are beautifully lit, with golden hour sunlight illuminating the rugged terrain and deep shadows creating tension in the darker regions. The realistic lighting does add a layer of depth and it enhances your immersion. Wildlands really does present a gritty, grounded atmosphere. The war-torn Bolivia combined with the dark storylines and the realistic sound effects creates a more raw and a serious tone. It feels like a true military operation, making it a different experience than more stylized shooters. Moving on to Breakpoint, it has a more advanced graphics engine. It results in crisper textures and much better character models. This allows the world to look more polished and futuristic, with sharper details that bring the environment to life. Auroa is a truly unique setting with multiple environments that vary drastically, from snow-capped peaks to lush jungles and them tech-heavy complexes we referred to earlier. The world does really feel rich and detailed, with every single region having its distinct atmosphere. Breakpoint's sci-fi aesthetic brings in new technologies like drones and automated combat units, giving it a more high-tech polished look. The bright, clean environments are contrasted with dark underground areas to balance the technological wonder with the underlying tension of a broken system. For my final verdict in this section, Wildlands wins it for realism and a more immersive, gritty feel. If you enjoy that grounded, intense atmosphere, it's pretty much almost perfect. Breakpoint wins in terms of visual polish, graphics, futuristic style, and a variety of environments which provides a more visually impressive experience. In my opinion, I prefer Wildlands' sort of realistic tone. Do you prefer Breakpoint's sleek, high-tech world? Let me know which game feels more immersive for you down below. Okay, moving on to gameplay mechanics. There is a slight difference here because you have a bit of a tactical shooter versus a typical survival FPS game. The tactical approach to combat in Wildlands emphasises strategic and slow-paced gunplay. Every mission requires careful planning, positioning and team coordination. You must take down your targets using them precise tactics and squad coordination to succeed. The heavy focus on communication makes it a game that shines in cooperative play. Wildlands also offers a wide range of weapons, and the customization options allow you to tailor your loadout for a variety of playstyles. Whether you prefer those silent sniper shots, long-range combat, or close-quarters mayhem, Wildlands lets you make each mission your own. Most of these missions in Wildlands are open-ended, allowing players to choose your approach. You can go in guns blazing, or choose a more stealthy approach, making every mission replayable in different ways. In Breakpoint, it introduces survival mechanics that push the game a little bit further than Wildlands. You must deal with the injuries, limited resources, and dynamic weather effects. These factors make every encounter feel more intense and tactical, requiring you to consider your stamina, health, and ammo, especially in solo play. In Breakpoint, gear score and weapon attachments play a much bigger role. The game introduces a more loot-driven progression system which allows you to upgrade your weapons and armor to suit your needs. This feature provides a continuous sense of progression and grinding, so to speak, and encourages more exploration of the surroundings. Breakpoint's missions are focused on a high-stakes survival and stealth mechanics. The world is populated with AI enemies that use tactical movement, creating a more intense atmosphere when you're trying to sneak through those enemy lines. Final verdict for this section, Wildlands wins if you prefer those tactical classic shooters with teamwork and a structured combat environment. Breakpoint shines through for players who want an immersive survival experience with more complex systems and a loot-driven progression. Which style of the gameplay of these two games do you prefer? Tactical squad-based combat or the more intense survival mechanics of Breakpoint? Let me know down in the comments again. Moving on to the stealth and the AI, which game really does it better? In Wildlands, it does offer robust stealth mechanics that let you approach objectives quietly, using tools like drone surveillance and silenced weapons. The enemy AI do react to your actions, and if you're not careful, you'll quickly alert the entire base. We don't want to be doing that one. While the AI can sometimes feel predictable, Wildlands uses dynamic patrols and guard posts, ensuring that your approach needs to be calculated. The AI will react to sounds, movement, and visual clues, but once spotted, they can quickly call in reinforcements, making it sometimes essential to stay hidden. The game does allow for non-lethal takedowns and stealth kills, making it satisfying for players who do prefer that silent and strategic approach to warfare. In Breakpoint, the stealth system is enhanced with injury mechanics, which means if you're hurt during a stealth section, your movement speed and noise level are affected. This adds an extra layer of tension as you need to manage not only your stealth but also your health and your resources. The AI in Breakpoint is more intelligent, with enemies constantly reacting to your presence, calling for reinforcements and even attempting to outflank you. The enemy squad formations are much more coordinated, making stealth playing more challenging. You can expect sophisticated enemy behaviour in this game that rewards patience and smart tactics. It also introduces a richer stealth experience, where players are forced to consider both their environment and their health. My final verdict on this one is that Wildlands offers a classical tactical stealth experience with predictable AI that requires careful planning but lacks the depth that you find in Breakpoint. In Breakpoint, you do have those improvements on stealth mechanics and AI, which delivers a more dynamic and immersive experiences that forces you to think carefully about every decision. In my opinion, Breakpoint nails the stealth and the survival. But for you, which game nails stealth better? Wildlands' tactical approach or Breakpoint's more intense survival-driven stealth mechanics? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Moving on to the next section, we're talking about the open world and the exploration. Which one of these two games feels more alive? In Wildlands, you've got a large, detailed open world. The sheer size of the world means you do spend a lot of time travelling, but it's a world that rewards exploration with those hidden camps, enemy strongholds and factions that add layers of depth to the experience. Moving on to Breakpoint, it's more refined and a more dynamic world. Breakpoint's open world takes place on Auroa, an island filled with secrets, danger and opportunity. The game world feels more dynamic and alive, with multiple biomes ranging from lush jungles to them high-tech military bases and them snowy mountains. The variety of environments themselves are stunning, and the world feels more connected than Wildlands, with more fluid transitions between different terrains. The exploration aspect in Breakpoint is influenced by the game's survival mechanics. As you move through the island, you'll need to monitor things like health, stamina, weather conditions, etc. This adds that layer of immersion we referred to earlier. The world is constantly interacting with you and forcing you to adapt. Whether you're trekking across snowy fields or navigating dense forests, the game keeps you on your toes. While Wildlands does have its fair share of activities, Breakpoint offers a wider range of side missions, world events and dynamic encounters. You're likely to encounter enemy patrols, wildlife and drones as you explore, keeping you engaged while you search for those hidden items or solve them side objectives. My final verdict in this section is Wildlands does offer a vast and expansive open world, which can be perfect for players who love to roam and discover. However, it can sometimes feel more static, and the sense of danger or consequence while exploring is much less pronounced. Breakpoint feels more alive, with its dynamic weather, its diverse terrain, and survival mechanics making that exploration feel more purposeful and integrated with the gameplay. Which open world do you prefer? Wildlands' fast landscapes or Breakpoint's dynamic survival-driven island? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. So now we're going to move on to the PvP and the co-op, which is one of the main reasons that some people play these games. Which one offers the best multiplayer experience? In Ghost Recon Wildlands, you have the co-op multiplayer, which is tactical and teamwork based. You and your squad mates must communicate effectively to accomplish those missions, as the game's combat and mission structure require precise movement and careful tactics. The co-op game supports up to 4 players, and completing the missions with friends does make for a slightly higher rewarding experience. On the PvP aspect, you have the Ghost War mode, which when introduced was a tactical 4v4 mode that mirrors the game's focus on teamwork. Players compete in a small, intense firefights where every single action and movement counts. It's methodical, slow paced, and it emphasises the strategy and cooperation over pure gunplay. It's perfect for players who do enjoy that more tactical PvP experience. In regards to the actual community itself, whilst Ghost War was a good introduction, the PvP community wasn't engaged as some other shooters, which led to smaller player bases and longer matchmaking times over time. However, when the game is populated, it does offer a unique PvP experience that emphasises that tactical positioning and stealth over your running and gunning. Breakpoint's co-op multiplayer, however, it is a lot more immersive and challenging. It takes that co-op gameplay to the next level by introducing those survival mechanics. In Breakpoint, you must all manage your injuries, stamina and resources while completing those missions together. It does feel more gritty and more immersive, especially when you're not the only person facing the enemy. Ghost War did return. It brought back Ghost War with additional improvements and new mechanics, such as classes and abilities. It's a more refined experience with a focus on player skills and teamwork. The class-based system allows players to customize their loadouts to better fit their playstyle, whether you prefer sniping, stealth or tanking. Breakpoint's PvP community is more engaged. The game's class diversity and improved matchmaking make a much more exciting and competitive environment. The balance changes and the new gameplay features have given the PvP scene new life, though like Wildlands, it can still feel like a niche experience due to the gameplay. Final verdict on the PvP and the multiplayer. Wildlands does excel in that tactical co-op gameplay, where teamwork is the key to victory. The Ghost World mode, however, was more grounded and methodical, but the lack of player engagement can affect long-term enjoyment. Breakpoint does offer that more immersive, challenging co-op, with survival mechanics and the environmental factors at play. PvP in Breakpoint is more dynamic and engaging, with an improved system that brings new life to the mode. Do you prefer Wildlands tactical co-op or Breakpoint's survival-based immersive multiplayer? Or are you more into the PvP action? Let me know. Moving on to Endgame and replayability. Which one still holds up in 2025? Ghost Recon Wildlands has limited endgame options. Although it had a solid main campaign, the endgame was a lot more limited. Once you've finished the story, you can explore side missions, challenges and random encounters, but there's not much there to keep you coming back. The lack of varied endgame content means that once you've completed that campaign, there's not anything to actually dive into really. Whilst the open world is vast and enjoyable, the core gameplay can become repetitive after a while. The missions don't evolve much after completing that main story, and without any major expansions, players understandably got tired of the same gameplay loop. Whilst it did receive expansion DLCs including the Narco Road and the Fallen Ghost DLCs, it did add new areas and missions. However, these expansions were somewhat limited in scope, and the game didn't receive the same level of post-launch content as other Ubisoft titles. In Breakpoint, you were privy to continuous update and seasonal content. It benefits from frequent content updates. Ubisoft has released several major updates and expansions that continue to build upon the game, including new missions, locations and gear. Breakpoint survival mechanics mean that even after completing the main story, there's always something to manage, whether it's upgrading your gear or surviving the elements surrounding you. The game feels much more rewarding to return to, as you have more to do beyond just completing general objectives. You also have raids and special missions. With the Ghost Recon Breakpoint raids and missions, there's much more replayability. The challenge of taking down boss enemies and grinding for better loot keeps players engaged long after your campaign ends. The class system and the dynamic PvP also add replay value, as players can experiment with different builds with different groups of people they enjoy playing the game with. Wildlands does have a good amount of content, but it lacks the depth and engagement to keep you coming back for the long haul. Breakpoint does offer a much richer post-launch experience with continuous content updates, raid mechanics, and an overall more dynamic and replayable endgame. So, to the final verdict, the ultimate Ghost Recon experience in 2025. If you're a casual gamer who loves to jump in for some tactical fun, Wildlands might be the better option for you. Its classic military operations and open world exploration make it an excellent choice for those who like a simpler, less intense experience. However, if you're a hardcore fan of tactical shooters, survival mechanics, and dynamic endgame content, Breakpoint takes the crown. The survival mechanics, improved AI, and constant content updates provides a much more rewarding experience for those seeking deeper and more varied gameplay. My choice is I'm going to go with Breakpoint on this one, especially in 2025. It gives you a lot more replayability and it's a lot more fun to play. So what's your final choice? Wildlands' more traditional tactical gameplay or Breakpoint's immersive survival and high-tech warfare? Let me hear your final verdict in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Ghost Recon games, don't forget to hit your like button and subscribe for more detailed game breakdowns. Drop a comment to share your thoughts and debates, and I'll see you in the next video.